Alright, this is better. So, the Final Fantasy mod by DJ Bonebreaker, formerly known as... he used a Japanese name before he changed to DJ Bonebreaker, but he's not a Japanese guy. I think he's American, but I could be wrong. Anyway, he used a Japanese avatar for a few years, and then he changed to DJ Bonebreaker. I think he was named Hidori Takahashi or something before that. Anyway, I could be wrong. So he made the Final Fantasy mod, which is a great overhaul mod for Sid Meier's Civilization 3 that adds 32 different factions from the Final Fantasy games. From different Final Fantasy games we have Lindblum, the Kingdom of Lindblum, led by Regent Sid of the Lindblum. Yeah, that's Final Fantasy IX, the good guys. And then we have Aldeed, faction of Final Fantasy X. They are, I don't know if they are good, but this girl, Riku, the leader, is good for sure. But the Aldeed might be bad, I don't know. I haven't played enough. They weren't necessarily friends, as I believe that Tidus were captured by them in the beginning of the game and held prisoner, but then he still did a mission together with Riku here. Tidus is the leader of, the main character of Final Fantasy X. And this girl joins his team later in the game, but in the beginning she is a member of Aldeed, an organization that I believe are doing underwater activity, and we were forced to help Riku with that in the beginning of the game. I haven't played much in that game. I played like 2 hours or so, maybe a little bit more. But yeah, I know that she is good, but Aldeed might be bad. So these two, I don't know who they are. They represent other Final Fantasy games. We have the Vector Empire, Emperor Testal, the Imperials. I do not know who they are, but I wouldn't be surprised if they are Final Fantasy XII. Shinra is of course the evil guys, the evil company in Final Fantasy VII. I know all about them. Rufus was one of my favorite characters, thought he was cool in the original game. He's the leader here too. His father led the Shinra, the official game, then he was killed by Sephiroth and Rufus Shinra took over. Okay, so Shinra is represented here, but one thing, there is a Final Fantasy VII mod by Magus88, and that mod is separate from this mod, the Final Fantasy mod. This was a mod that added 32 factions from different Final Fantasy games, including the Final Fantasy VII factions, but the other mod added only the Final Fantasy VII characters on a FF7 map, and that FF7 map is not a part of this mod, I believe, unless I'm wrong. But of course you can add any map to any mod, and the difference is that the Final Fantasy mod is very lightly colored, so a FF7 map within this mod would look very bright colored, very bright colors, while the Final Fantasy VII map is very dark and grey, which I think fits Final Fantasy VII better. It also fits Final Fantasy VIII, but the point is that the Final Fantasy VII mod is separate from the Final Fantasy mod, and they share different factions and assets. So this mod is more of an overhaul of the game with way more factions. The Final Fantasy VII mod has only the Final Fantasy VII map, 2 versions of it, one without cities and one with cities. Then I've done some edits of them, so there are more for me here. But anyway, they have the same Final Fantasy VII factions, at least the 2 main ones, the Shinra Corporation, the evil guys, and the Avalanche good guys, rebels. And then the Final Fantasy VII mod has the Wutai faction and etc. as well, but I don't believe they are a part of this one, could be wrong. So and the difference is that the Final Fantasy VII mod is using just the Final Fantasy VII map and just the Final Fantasy VII factions, while this mod is using multiple maps and generic maps, and it's more of a what-if mod where you can put different Final Fantasy factions against each other. For example, the Final Fantasy VII Shinra can be fighting the Galbadia of Final Fantasy VIII, or Alexandria of Final Fantasy IX, or the Albeeds of Final Fantasy X. So this is more of an what-if mod, but you can still add the Final Fantasy IX and 8 and 7 maps to this mod, but I wouldn't necessarily do it for the Final Fantasy VII factions, because unless I want them to fight the others, because the Final Fantasy VII mod, while being very similar, using the same leaders and the same factions for Shinra and Avalanche, it's using completely different art assets for the cities and the map, etc. So it looks different and feels different, and many of the units are the same and heroes are the same, but it's like a separate Final Fantasy mod, you can say. So here we have the Shinra here too, the Vector Empire. I guess they are from Final Fantasy XII, could be wrong. Forbidden Land, no idea who they are. The Avalanche faction led by Cloud Strife. And he looks the same in the Final Fantasy VII mod, so this is like Cloud. His hair wasn't perfect, it didn't have enough spikes, but it's still good for a fan-made hero, even though I think Riku looked even better. And Rufus looked really good, probably the best looking one, especially since it has the Shinra headquarters behind it too, which is really cool. But Cloud has the I believe Sector 5 church behind it. That's also pretty cool. Okay. At Ugan, no idea who they are. Vervinia. So Empress Estal, I still think this is Final Fantasy 12, I could be wrong. Forbidden Land, Grand Tyrant Xande of the Forbidden Landers. No idea who he is. I haven't played Final Fantasy 2, 3, 4 and 5. I did play a bit of Final Fantasy 4 actually. The remake on the computer. I bought it a few years ago in 2022 and played a bit in it. Haven't finished it, but played for like 4 hours or so. And I have also played Final Fantasy 1 long ago when I had PlayStation 1. Played it a bit, so I know it has Garland as the enemy. But I don't know much about the nations and such, so I don't know from which game this is. I haven't played Final Fantasy 3, 4 and 5. I played a bit out of Final Fantasy 6, but not much. I know about its lore and characters because I read up on the Final Fantasy 6 game and watched documentaries, because it's more popular than the others, or at least more popular in my generation than the others. Alright. Finn Alliance, Queen Hilda of the Finns. I have no idea who she is, but she had a good looking leader picture. Cloud is okay. Tycoon, Queen Reina, the Tycoons, no idea who she is. Clan leader Marcia of the Beverlians, no idea who she is. Calvadia, that's the evil faction of Final Fantasy VIII, led by sorceress Idea, or Ultimisia, who is controlling Idea. But anyway, she didn't have a leader until I added the model, but the model was made by DJ Bonebreaker. I just had to download it from DJ Bonebreaker's page at Civ Fanatics and then mod it into the mod. So essentially the model existed, but it wasn't implemented into this game. So I added her. So if you play the Final Fantasy VIII maps, the Galbadia will be led by sorceress Idea. Okay, so and we have Alphitaria, I think. Princess Fiona of the Alphitarians. I think Fiona is from Final Fantasy VI. I recognize the name. Could be wrong. don't think they are good if that's the case. God, and that's the good guys of Final Fantasy VIII, led by Squall here. Squall Leonhardt, the main character. But the leader would be a more uninteresting character, like headmaster of the school or something, of the CD school. It makes sense to put Squall as the leader instead of the headmaster. Okay, and then we have the Returneers, King Edgar of the Returneers. He is from Final Fantasy VI, I believe, for sure. Orcish Horde. We have this Horde instead as the leader. I used this faction as the dwarves of Final Fantasy IX on the Final Fantasy IX map because they looked more like the dwarves there than the actual dwarves. Windburst, that's from Final Fantasy XI, the online game. I recognize the characters. I've never played it. The Dwarf Kingdom, sharing the leader with the Warhammer mods, it's from there. Bastok, President Karst of the Bastokians, no idea who he is. Baron, King Cecil of the Barons. I believe this is from Final Fantasy IV. Cecil is the main character in Final Fantasy IV. Yevon, Grandmaster Mika of the Yevon, no idea who he is. Dalmasca, this is the good faction of Final Fantasy XII. Princess Ash here. Cool to have her as well. With a leader picture, like the character. Still have to finish the game. I bought Final Fantasy XII for the PlayStation 2 back in 2007. And couldn't stop playing when I first started it, and then never went back to it after I shut it down. So it was very, what should I say, it was addictive when I started it, but difficult. So I died at the same time all the time until I used the exploder or action replay sheets to make myself better so I could survive, and then I managed to play a bit longer. But after I shut down the game, I didn't return to it until 2013, and I was in a bad position and had nothing else to do but to play the PlayStation 2 or the PC or the PlayStation 3, and I played the same stuff I had already played on the PlayStation 2 back then. I had a strategy guide, by the way, an official strategy guide. I have two. I have one in pocket format and one that is in a different format that I haven't even opened. Okay, and then I bought the PlayStation 4 game, but I still haven't opened it, and because I bought the PC game as well, the remaster for the PC. It's the same game as the PlayStation 4 game, but on the computer on Steam. And the benefit of having the game on the PlayStation 4 is that it's a physical copy of the game, so I own the game. So it's my game, but if I had it on Steam, it's not owned by me, then I only rent it. So the PlayStation 4 game has the same ownership as the PlayStation 2 game, I believe. But if it's not digital, and I do not have the digital version, I have the Blu-ray version. So I own it on the PlayStation 2 because I still have the PS2 disc, the DVD, and I also have the PS4 disc. But I haven't opened it. On Steam I have the remaster because there are benefits with using the Steam version, like you can mod it on a PC computer. So that's why I bought it, but I do not really own the game there, so it's just rented. So that's why I kept the PlayStation 4 version as well. It's a great game, but I prefer the version where I could cheat and mod it. I believe the PlayStation 2 version could be cheated on as well, thanks to Exploder and Action Replay, but the graphics are much worse there. And there are no modes that allow me to increase the number of party members from 3 to 4, I believe. So the PC just enabled way more options. So this is Final Fantasy XII. I found no map of Final Fantasy XII. Okay, and then we have the Light Warriors, and the Dark Warriors, and the Garland. They are from Final Fantasy I. The Light Warriors, Prince Thief of the Light Warriors, I don't know who he is from, but where he is from, but probably Final Fantasy XI, could be wrong. Paramician Empire, Emperor Paramicchia of the Paramicians. It looks similar to Final Fantasy II villain. Might be Final Fantasy II, I could be wrong. And then we have the Lysalia faction, Princess Velia of the Lysalians. No idea who she is. And Prince Royal Tryon, one of the Sandiorians. Don't know who he is. We have Garnet, Princess Garnet or Dagger of Alexandria, leading the Kingdom of Alexandria. She is Final Fantasy IX and is one of the party members. She leads the kingdom at the end before the kingdom is destroyed by Kujan, his dragon. The kingdom is led by her mother, adopted mother, Lin Bran, most of the game, and she's evil and she tries to conquer Lindblom and does conquer the Rat Kingdom of Bermesia and the Rat Kingdom of Clara. She also did conquer Lindblom. She conquered all the rival kingdoms and then he was killed by Kuja, and then the heir, Princess Garnet Dagger in the heroes team. She used the name Dagger to keep her identity as the princess hidden from others, and she becomes the heir to the throne in the late game and becomes the queen and leads Alexandria in the defense against Kujan the dragon, and her kingdom gets destroyed and she essentially is no longer the queen after that, and the kingdom is in ruins. And she goes back to being a party member in the heroes team to stop Kuja and his minions. And she's a faction. Her faction, Alexandria, is a good faction under her rule, and a bad faction, evil faction under her mother. And in this game on the Final Fantasy IX map, I had her as an evil faction because the timeline is when she is going to conquer the others. But in another setting she would probably be a good faction against the other factions of this mod. We have the Eshtar. They are a faction of Final Fantasy VIII led by Laguna. Okay, and then we have the Arcadian Empire. Emperor Tramis of the Arcadians, I don't know who he is, and that's it. And I believe these are all the Final Fantasy factions. And we only have 4 factions here. So Lindblom, because I believe this was Final Fantasy IX, so it's possible to play the Final Fantasy IX map with any of the factions here. But if we're gonna be true to Final Fantasy IX, then it's obviously Alexandria, Lindblom, and Dark Warriors, and the Orcish Horde. They are the dwarves. But I do not have a 5th faction here where I can actually select my own factions. I believe they will end up wrong on the map. We'll check. This is the original map with cities added. It's essentially I downloaded the map, placed out the cities, and then downloaded the map essentially. So this one doesn't have any of the garrisons I had added later. And it's a normal map with cities essentially. This is the one I want to share with the community, by the way, because currently you can download the Final Fantasy IX mod. No, sorry, you can download the Final Fantasy mod by DBA Bonebreaker, and then you can download this Final Fantasy IX map separately from a different creator, but it has no cities placed out. And as I add every city to the map, I feel like maybe I should release the map with the cities. Then I have another version that I played in August and in May, August 2025 and in May 2026, where I have placed out garrisons and stuff, and a fifth faction in order for me to watch the AI, and that one can't be released because I have added new units to it as well, and new models, sprites. So in order to release that, we would have to release the entire Final Fantasy mod again with everything included. As it's more than just the map, it requires new models or sprites as well, new units. But this map is just the map with cities placed out, and then when you load the map to the Final Fantasy IX mod, you already have essentially everything you need. And have some problems with the cable. It has it is an old cable. It has annoying noises when I move it sometimes. Okay, Final Fantasy mod. Hail Riku, leader of the commercial, scientific, and seafaring debug. Is the year 1 array. Riku, your people are the last survivors of the once great civilization, destroyed in a cataclysm on your world that also brought you here. So this mod, the Final Fantasy mod, takes place in its own universe, similar to Final Fantasy Dissidia, where all the factions from the Final Fantasy games end up on the same continents essentially and can fight each other. But because this is a separate map loaded, downloaded and loaded separately, it adds only the 4 factions of the Final Fantasy IX game. So the others are not really included. We seem to be playing as Riku though. Weird. On this one at least. And I think Riku has her own model. She is over there. We can control her. She has a picture of a settler. No, this is Riku. She has a custom model. You can see that I placed out all the cities. This is the same map that I used when I let AI play, but it's an earlier version of it where I haven't placed out anything. This is more ready for normal play. So Lindblom, for example, has secondary cities, more units. Okay, we will check some stuff. Civilopedia, main menu, advisors. So the Final Fantasy, and we have the updated Final Fantasy advisors here. Okay. We are playing as Chiefess Riku of Debug. Okay. So we are supposed to be able to see other factions here. I don't know why we cannot do that. So Lindblom, they have the capital Lindblom, they have Dragon's Gate, and they seem to also hold the Pinnacle Rocks here. Lindblom Harbor, Q's March. Forgot that Q's March was a settlement. Didn't remember that. Maybe I removed it later because it wasn't a part of the version where I let the AI fight. We have Chocobo Forest down here. I think I must have removed Q's March here and removed the Chocobo Forest area. Could be wrong because those areas were never embattled. I believe that the first battle Lindblom fought was against Pinnacle Rock, held by the Dark Warriors. The same faction that is holding Gisamaluki's Grotto here. But they do not hold Pinnacle Rocks here, which is surprising. And his March, Chocobo Forest. I think Dark Warriors should obviously control Pinnacle Rocks. You might have to edit it and change the ownership there, and Chocobo Forest and Goose March. I don't know which one should hold those, but probably Lindblom or the Dark Warriors. Isam Grot is held by the Dark Warriors, but it makes sense that maybe the forest should be held by the Dark Warriors, maybe not. Goose March, there were enemies there too, I believe, but also allies, I don't know. Okay, and then we have Clara, held by them. This is an older version of the map, I have never updated it. So essentially I changed later the game to let Alexandria hold, Lindblom hold Burmecia as well. I probably removed these two areas. I think I would keep them, but I would change the ownership so the Dark Warriors would hold this area, and Chocobo Forest kinda makes sense that even though the Chocobos are friendly, but there are probably other monsters there, it would make sense to give it to the Dark Warriors. And Goose March, maybe it makes sense there too. Okay, we have the Dark Warriors there. Alexandria is holding Burmecia, so they conquer Burmecia here, and the North Gate, they have the village of Dali, they have the Observatory Tower, and they have the South Gate, and Trino, the city of Trino. The Dark Warriors have Kuan's Dwelling, and Ice Cavern and Evil Forest. If they have Kuan's Dwelling, then they could also have Goose March, because they are very similar areas, I believe. Similar creatures in them. The Chocobo Forest. Maybe it was more balanced to give all of these areas to Lindblom. But this one should be Dark Warriors, and these could be either Lindblom or the Dark Warriors. Might be more fun with the Dark Warriors holding them, but I don't know. And then we have Ice Cavern, Evil Forest, and Kuan's Dwelling held by the Dark Warriors. Alexandria is holding the city of Trino, the South Gate, the Observatory, village of Dali, the North Gate, and the ruins of the Kingdom of Burmecia. And then they are holding Alexandria Harbor and capital of Alexandria as well. So yeah, this map is ready to be uploaded, I believe. I just need to edit it once, and we'll give this area to the Dark Warriors, and we'll likely give this area to the Dark Warriors as well. And this one might stay with Lindblom, as it's a Chocobo area. I think they will keep it. But this one will go to the... Maybe Q's March should be Lindblom, as Q is located there, one of the heroes. But there are enemies nearby as well. One of the areas would go to... I don't know. Maybe we would let these areas be held by Lindblom to balance things out. But Burmecia would go back to Lindblom, I think. Let's see how many they have, by the way. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They have 8 areas, and the Dark Warriors have 1, 2, 3, 4. They have only half of the number that Alexandria has on this continent. Lindblom have Lindblom, Dragon's Gate, Lindblom Harbor, and Pinnacle Rock, and Q's March, and Chocobo Forest, and Clara. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They have 7 areas, and they will lose 1 to the Dark Warriors. That will give the Dark Warriors 5 areas. And then the Dark Warriors started Pinnacle Rock, and then they would lose one, and then they could get Vermisia. I think they should start Vermisia as well. That will give Finland back what they lost, and Alexandria would have 7 areas, Finland would have 7 then, and the Dark Warriors would have 5. I think these areas maybe should stay with Lindblom because the Chocobos are friendly, and Q herself and her boss, they are friendly. So yeah, but we would do some changes. Vermisia to Lindblom, and the Pinnacle Rocks to the Dark Warriors, and yeah, that would weaken Alexandria with 1 region and strengthen the Dark Warriors with 1. They are too weak, and would keep Lindblom at the same strength that they have here. Maybe Lindblom could be weakened a little bit more, but I don't think so, because the Dark Warriors are strong on other continents. We have this continent as well. Here, Daguerro is held by Lindblom, and Lindblom is holding Oilvert and Water Shrine. No, in this version the Dark Warriors and the Garland is holding the Ipsen's Castle and the Water Shrine, and Lindblom is holding Oilvert and then holding Daguerro over here. I think because they have no starting armies and such, that for balance reasons maybe they shouldn't have too many areas. So I think the Dark Warriors would keep these 2 areas, and Lindblom would have this area and this one, so we wouldn't change anything. On the mainland, I feel like probably made Alexandria stronger here because they have no areas on any of the other continents. They are the strongest here. But I feel like the Dark Warriors should probably have 1 more region, and Lindblom could use this region. But maybe not in lore when Final Fantasy IX started. Vermisia had already fallen, so maybe on this map they should have it at the start. But Pinnacle Rocks, I believe, would still fit with the Dark Warriors. So it's just a grotto, essentially, a cave with monsters and wolves and such. Okay, Estogasa is held by Lindblom here. I had it as a part of the sea. Then I have the Dark Warriors with the Fire Shrine and all the shimmering Iceland. I was certain that the Shimmering Iceland was held by the Dark Warriors, that Estogasa is also supposed to be held by them, and that the Fire Shrine were held by Lindblom, but here it's different. Maybe it's random because we started a normal map. Could be. The Dark Warriors also have the Leaf Tree and the Desert Palace. Here they start with the Earth Shrine too. They were held by, the Earth Shrine was held by the dwarves of Final Fantasy IX, the orcs in this mod, essentially. The orcs, the dwarves, we will call them dwarves that look like orcs. They are holding Madame Sari and Conde Petty, and like they do, and then the Lindblom faction holds Fossil Roo and the Black Mage Village. Okay, Black Mage Village could also be held by the Dark Warriors, but they already had a lot of areas here. So this is the version. I hadn't even placed out the 5th faction that I used to watch the others. I placed it here, the Mognet Central. Okay. I don't want to quit. What I want to do is I want to go back to the menu. Retire. Yes. So yeah, that was the map when we loaded it through the Final Fantasy mod without having edited the map in any way to force where the faction started. It was pretty accurate, but as we saw, certain areas weren't perfectly handed out. See content, so that was the Final Fantasy IX normal map. Then we have the garrison map, and we load it, we will see that we have 5 factions instead of, including the random one, we have 5 others. You can see that Lindblom is placed out, Alexandria is placed out, Dark Warriors are placed out, and Orcish Horde, which are the dwarves, are placed out. So Lindblom, Orcish Horde, Dark Warriors, and Alexandria. Then we have our faction, the dwarves. Because I wanted to be able to watch the AI. But we've already done a video where we watched the AI, so this is just to take a look at the mod. So we can see here. Wait a second, something is off. This is the Final Fantasy IX map. The Earth Shrine. I have the Magnet Central here, where my faction is. Then most areas have disappeared. What? Kondepetti, Madensari. I don't know what happened now. We'll have to exit. Something went wrong. Very weird. Let's try again. So we have Final Fantasy VIP Garrison, Final Fantasy IX, VIP Garrison, Final Fantasy IX VIP. This might be the standard, let's check it out. Now we have every single faction here. Vanilla, this is just the map. I want to check it. Let's see what the map looks like when we started. No, there was not even a visible map. We need to change that in the menu, I believe. The editor, if you want it to be visible. So this is the original map that doesn't even have any cities. Yeah, end it. Okay. What the hell? Okay, thought it restarted. We'll try this again. Something was off the last time. We needed to pick these, of course. Lindblom, Alexandria, Orcish Horde, Dark Warriors, and we are the dwarves that started. And hopefully it won't be anything wrong this time. Yeah, now we have all the areas. Perfect. So this is the same one we played on May 6th, 2026. We have Lindblom holding, we have starting armies, and we have Lindblom holding Lindblom itself, Lindblom Harbor, and Dragon's Gate. But now the Pinnacle Rock area is held by the Dark Warriors. And as you can see, I removed the Chocobo area and the Q's March, because I think Q's village was represented here, Q village, and the Chocobo forest I think was represented somehow, so I didn't need them as cities. Might be more fun if they are cities, I don't know. We have Isamaluki's Grotto held by the Dark Warriors. Kingdom of Clara held by Lindblom, as they were not represented as their own kingdom. Burmecia is now held by Lindblom as well, because Alexandria owned everyone on this continent in the August 2025 AI-only campaign, so I wanted the Lindblom faction to be a bit stronger, so I gave them Burmecia. And the Dark Warriors also hold Ice Cavern and the Evil Forest, as well as Kuan's Dwelling. It's like on the other map, we have the Kingdom of Alexandria. They hold the capital of Alexandria, of course. And Holy Knight, I believe I have added a more modern Holy Knight, but it's still using the old one here, so I never actually added a new one to the game. I added it to the files to the editor, but never added it to the map, it seems. I didn't want two Beatrix, and I thought the old one, well, not having as cool attacks, because the new one had both the sword and a magic attack, I believe an electric attack or something, but this one only has a sword attack. But this one looked, both looked good, but this one had I thought it looked more accurate to the original, maybe not, I don't remember really, but I kept it for some reason. But I added the other one, I was gonna add it, so I know I added the other one as a Holy Knight unit that could be recruited in the late game, I believe. Okay, so Alexandria, held by the Kingdom of Alexandria, Alexandria Harbor, and the Observatory Tower. We have the village of Dali, where they're making all those black mages. We have the North Gate, and yeah, that's all of Alexandria, except they also have the South Gate and City of Tree now over here. There were some differences, and we can see that they have everyone has troops and summons and everything, ships and airships. The bad thing with this game is that airships couldn't move over water, so they need actual real ships to move over water. In Final Fantasy IX lore, I know that the waters could not be traversed by ships for some reason, so it's inaccurate lore to have ships. They would need to use airships to move between the continents, but the problem is that in this game airships can only move, if you have an airship here it can move from this city to this city, or over land anywhere. It cannot move from a city on one continent to a city on another, except maybe if it can move from like Burmecia to another city elsewhere. That it might have some kind of connection between cities if you have the right building, but it cannot move over water as it can over land, so it cannot move like in any direction over water. You need some kind of special building between the cities. Well, the normal ships can move over water, that's where they are needed, even if the lore said that the ships couldn't be used on the waters in the Final Fantasy IX world. And I have the Daguerreo area held by Lindblom, and Oilworth held by Lindblom, and they also hold the Water Shrine, including Leviathan the Summon, while the Dark Warriors are holding Ibsen's Castle, the huge army. They still have the advantage due to that huge army. We have the Dark Warriors at Estocasa instead of Lindblom. They also have Shimmering Island, or Island. We have the Lindblom faction holding Fire Shrine instead, including the Ifrit Summon. In this mod, by the way, the Final Fantasy mod, we have vanilla sprites, we have Warhammer sprites, and we have custom Final Fantasy sprites. So it's not just Final Fantasy sprites, it's also vanilla units and Warhammer units. So many of the summons look exactly like the Warhammer ones. For example, this one is a Warhammer guy, but renamed into a summon of the Final Fantasy game series. have of course the orcs, the dwarves, look like orcs. They have starting on mountain, holding Sari and Conde Petty, and they also hold the Earth Shrine here. The Dark Warriors are holding Desert Palace and the Leafa Tree, but they are no longer holding the Black Mage. It's held by Lindblom, and Lindblom is holding Fossil Row as well. Fossil Row was the area where we arrived with the heroes to this continent, and the Black Mage village was kind of hostile in the beginning. It could have been a part of the Dark Warriors, but later they kind of became a good place and friendly to the heroes. And for balance reasons they were added to the Lindblom faction. Alexandria didn't get any areas outside of the first continent, but they could take their ships and move elsewhere. Dark Warriors do not have any ships and airships, and the same is true for the dwarves that look like orcs. But Lindblom has ships. The problem is they are way worse. They are much worse actually, so that's why they will lose any engagements with the Alexandrian fleet that have way better ships. Yeah, so the Alexandrians can still move to other continents with their ships. As for the airships, as I said, they cannot move over water very easily, but both factions have similar airships, so they are even there. But I think Alexandria has a few more of them. Okay, Alexandria has the stronger army for sure. Okay, so this is the Final Fantasy IX map, and what I did to it was I added all the cities by looking at the official map, by searching on Google, and I then named the cities, placed them out, and added them to different factions. We added 4 specific factions here, and then I added a 5th faction, the dwarves that are not really supposed to be played. They added here to the Movement Central, an area added for this faction specifically, and that allowed me to just click and turn and watch the others. Because there is no watch mode in this game, you need a faction for the players, so you can just click and turn. And if this area is attacked, I believe there is a cheat code, so you can win the battle no matter what. But this is the Final Fantasy IX map added to the Final Fantasy mod, and here I added the cities and the factions and the alliances. By the way, the alliances, this was the wrong place. Let's see. Civilopedia. No, we wanted to check. I am no expert at this game. I've never really played this as I normally would. Advisors, that's what we wanted to check. I see that the domestic advisor is Tifa from Adventure, and the more updated one. We have Jaffe as the trade advisor, Sephiroth as the military advisor, Erit as the foreign advisor, Yuna from Final Fantasy X as the cultural advisor, and Sid from Final Fantasy VII as the science advisor. Sephiroth is the main villain from Final Fantasy VII. Erit is of course from Final Fantasy VII as well, as is Jaffe and Tifa. But Yuna is from Final Fantasy X. No, I don't know, I need to check that, how annoying. Master or shamans need guidance, but shall we research? Let's just check something. Okay, so these are the factions. You can check them for an advisor. So this one is just used for us to be able to watch the others. But we have Kingdom of Lindblom. They are allied to the dwarves of Final Fantasy IX. And so you see Lindblom had a Warhammer Rakeland here leader, and the orcs here, the orc kingdom used by the dwarves on this map. They had a unique orc that I didn't see in the other mod. Maybe they took them from it could be taken from a different mod, like for example the Heroes 3 mod, I don't know. But it's not from the Warhammer one. This one is from the Warhammer one, as is this one. And then we have a unique one for Princess Garnet of Alexandria, and Chaos Lord Garland of the Dark Warriors. I believe he was from the Warhammer mod too. One of the factions there, I could be wrong. This one is certainly a unique Final Fantasy 1, and the advisors are all Final Fantasy unique ones. Okay, we can see that Lindblom is allied to our debug faction and representing the Mughals, and to the dwarves, because they were friendly to the good guys. But here's at war with both the Alexandrian faction and the Dark Warriors. You can see also that the Dark Warriors are at war with everyone but Alexandria, and Alexandria is at war with everyone but the Dark Warriors, but they are not allied, they are neutral to each other. So these two can start fighting each other after they have defeated these two. So this is the setting for Final Fantasy IX. You need to exit. I wasn't really gonna check this one, but I decided to do it anyway. I clicked wrongly. Sometimes it's easy to click wrongly here. You need to check yes there, then exit. Okay. They also say something when we exit. We don't really care. Okay, so you can see the top cities. Alexandria probably counts as the top city. But anyway, let's go to the others. So that was the Final Fantasy IX mod. Then we have some VIPs. I had done quite a lot on. But maybe we should divide the videos. I have already gone through all the mods in this list, which ones are custom and such, and I have shown off the Warhammer mod a little bit in the menu and the Faerun mod in the menu, and I've showed off the Final Fantasy IX mod on the map, both the version with just the map and the more updated version with garrisons. And the one I was gonna show was the Final Fantasy VII or 8 mods. I'm gonna do another video where I watch the AI in the Final Fantasy VIII mod, because they already have two different maps that are ready. One that is smaller, one that is bigger. I did a big map one first. This one, huge map of Final Fantasy VIII, 130x 130 size. It's the same map as this one, but here it was completed. This is the uncompleted one. And we have a small map made by the same person that made the map for Final Fantasy IX actually. So this map at 134x104 in size is made by the same guy that did small FF8 map at 120x120, and was a bigger Final Fantasy VIII map at 130x130, and I did that one first. Then I found the smaller one and did everything on that one. They did a big map first, so it's a bit outdated compared to the other one, unless I went back to it and fixed some stuff later. I might have done that. Okay, but anyway, I was gonna show off the Final Fantasy VII mod. In August 2025 I did show off the original mod of the Final Fantasy VII mod. But and we have an older map here. You can see it looks different. New beginnings. No, it's the same. But I remember I had one. It was different. Final Fantasy IX. Final Fantasy. Fantasy AI. Big. I did one with Final Fantasy as well. I didn't remember that. But here we have all the factions available. only few could be added here. Lindblom, Alexandria, Orc Sword, Dark Warriors, Estar. Seems to still be the original map. Final Fantasy I essentially. You can just add any of the factions of the Final Fantasy mod. It has not been customized for AI. But it says AI here, so maybe I can watch the AI, but it's not been added. I don't believe that there are any starting garrisons. There was one Final Fantasy VII map that was more updated by a different guy, I believe. Anyway. The beginnings. I believe the difference with this one is that you start with no cities at all and can build from scratch essentially. And the normal mode was the one I showed back then. You can load this one first just to see. No, I believe New Beginnings is the map is black and you have no cities and you will build from scratch everything. The FF7 mod is the original mod with the cities placed out, I believe. There you have 4 factions. You have the Shinra Corporation led by Rufus Shinra, President Rufus of Shinra Corporation. And we have Cloud leading Avalanche, and then we have Utai led by Yaffi Kisaragi, and Cetra led by Eirik Gainsborough. We have only 3 factions here, not 4. Only 3 factions. We can play 1 and then 3 AI factions, I see. So we play the Cetra. Then we have Shinra Corporation, Avalanche, and Utai. I already showed this one, I believe. But this one doesn't have any visible map. That's it. We start with 2 areas. We play as the Cetra, and as you see, we have the. This is the normal mode, and we start with 2 areas as the Cetra. I believe it's changed in a bit because this Shinra soldier wasn't there before. I believe I replaced the generic soldier for the factions, so they no longer use the vanilla ones when playing on this. This is not the Final Fantasy mod, by the way. This is the Final Fantasy VII mod, and it's using, because I changed in the editor of the mod the recruitment, so that at least when you use my version of the mod, that they won't use the vanilla troops anymore, and instead this is their generic soldier. So we have like user scout. He looks like a vanilla guy. Warrior looks like vanilla. Might still be some vanillas left. Spearman. I don't know if they are available. Princess. Yeah, these are basic. Ares, but she looks, she is more correct in the game, as we changed this faction to use red colors for Ares to look alright, to look correct. Yeah, I believe this soldier is new. It's a new Shinra soldier used by as a generic soldier in all the factions. I still hadn't fixed the problem with everyone using this soldier, I believe. Okay, but I'm disappointed that we didn't have a visible map. We will have to exit. Check one of the others. Okay, exit. This was a very unimproved version. So FF7 mod, FF7 mod 2, we can check this one instead. It should have some of my work. Saved multiple versions because I didn't want to. Instead of overwriting the same one, I saved multiple ones after doing changes. They're the same factions, and we will pick the Cetra. The other factions are the same. Let's start the game. You can see here we have the entire map visible, and we are the Cetra, and in this version they are white, which is bad, because that means that Eirit would but the Cetra have Cloud Strife as the leader here. Cloud Strife is the leader of the Cetra in this version. So this was before I added Eirit and Rufus to the game. You can see that all the cities have the same like Cetra village starting city type, and then when you upgrade you get the other three, and then you upgrade more, you get others. I don't know how many times you can upgrade, but you can upgrade the settlement and the sprite will change. So for example, Midgar has this one that is the best one out of the Cetra ones, but it's used by everyone here, because I think they can upgrade 12 times or something. We have all the cities. So the Cetra, Eirit's faction, they are led by Cloud here, the placeholder. They hold the Temple of the Ancients, and then they hold the Forgotten Temple over here. And we also have the Bone Village, held by the Shinra. They are red on the map, and Avalanche is blue. The map, they are blue. So this is how it was originally. We had a white color for the Cetra, blue for the Avalanche faction. I believe it's been changed, because I think Avalanche used to be red, and changed it to blue because Cloud is the leader of the Avalanche faction, and if you have red color, Cloud's model would have red pants. But if he has blue color, like the Shinra used to have, then he will have the proper blue colors on his pants. So it's because Cloud needed the blue colors, that's why they are blue here, I think. It's because of Cloud, as Cloud was in this version. He was a placeholder for the Cetra faction, as you can see here. But he was also the leader of the Avalanche faction over here. They have Cloud as well. That's why they have the blue colors instead of the Shinra. And they hold Fort Condor, they hold Chocobo Ranch, and the Shinra is holding Mithril Mines, which made sense to some extent as the Turks were located there. Avalanche is holding the Sleeping Man area. Union Harbor is held by Shinra. Shinra is also holding Midgar, of course, and the town of Kalm, or village of Kalm. Shinra is holding the Bone Village and Icicle Inn. And Avalanche is holding Chocobo Sage area. And the Cetra are holding the Forgotten Capital. And we have, of course, Sephiroth over here, the Northern Crater, but it's not an actual region. I mean, it's not an actual settlement, and he is the leader of a different faction, I believe. Like the Slave or Rebel Barbarian faction. They are not playable. They are like the rebels in the game. Okay, and you can see that Shinra is holding Costa del Sol, North Corel, Gold Saucer, and Might Nibel and Rocket Town, while the Avalanche is holding Nibelheim and Lucretia's Cave. And down here we have Shinra holding Gongaga Village, where the Mac Reactor is, and Avalanche is holding Weapon Cellar, Ancient Forest, Frog Forest, and the Cosmic Canyon area. It's very different from how I made it later. This is a very outdated map. It's more updated than the one I showed last year. is more updated. Colors are different. And ownerships are a bit different. This continent is pretty much empty of other factions. We could probably place out the Cetra here. Or something. I don't know. I have placed out some rebels, including U-boats there. Okay, so Wutai, they have, of course, the capital of Wutai, and they have the Sha monument. As we can see, all the areas are using the Cetra sprites. And start at the bottom in most places, and capitals and better settlements like Wutai, for example, have the latest version of the Cetra sprite. This is a very outdated build where you can play on the Final Fantasy VII map in the Final Fantasy VII mod by Magus88, and yeah, it's an old mod from 2006. And yeah, there are some changes onto it, but it's a very, very outdated build. We'll exit now. We've seen it. They just loaded it to show it off, so you'll see the difference between it and the later iterations. But I don't believe it was finished, as in fully playable. The latest one. There are some cool changes made later. 7 mod 3 checked. Still have only 4 factions. Check this one now. Now the colors have changed. The Cetra faction has red colors now, which makes sense if you want Aerith to look correct. They still have Cloud as the leader, so they still haven't gotten Aerith here for some reason. Okay, and on the other end of the world, they still do not have Aerith. We haven't added Aerith here yet, but we have changed the colors, so the Cetra are no longer white, they are red instead of the Shinra. And we can see that the city models are the same. But the Temple of the Ancients are supposed to use this one. This is the most... I think they are supposed to use that one. Fort Condor, Cloud, Mithril Mines held by Shinra. They are black, the backup being blue. Cloud's faction is using this. He would have, instead of blue pants, he would have like this color instead. Yeah, it's better than red, but not as good as blue. Okay, so this is very similar to the other map with some different colors. Don't see much of a difference. Only some colors are different here. Shinra are blue instead of red. And the Cetra are red instead of white. And the Avalanche faction is like this Mako color instead of blue. The only difference is that I added different colors. Okay, we will exit. Okay, see content 7.4 big. Don't know which one is more recent out of these two. 7 mod VIP and mod VIP garrisons. I think the garrisons are more late. Then we have this one. This one is the one with a different map. Completely different map. And it's older. Map size 100x100. The other one has map size 130x130. It's maxed out. I believe the other one was older, but the creator of the Final Fantasy VII mod, Magus88, he remade the map they didn't think the other one was good enough. Check the fauna. There is still only 4 factions. Let's start the game. And now I've added some new units and such. See the Chocobo here. We have Iris now. She's blue and white on the picture, but when you take her out, she actually looks correct, because they are red. We have kept the red color for the Cetra in order to prevent Iris in the European release of Final Fantasy VII. She was named Iris, but Aerith in the American release. So she looked like this if she had a white color. And in order to change that, you need to give the faction the red colors. Then she looks exactly like Aerith with red shoulder pads or whatever this is, and then the dress is actually pinkish. Yeah, we have probably added some units too. Chocobo Man, that's the old one too. It was already in the game. No, this one is new. I added this one. It's a new one. Spearman, that's a vanilla guy. Okay, but Aerith has been added as the leader instead of Cloud. And then Avalanche. I don't know why Avalanche have Aerith. They have Cloud too. The problem with Cloud is that he will be red in his color here. And the Shinra are still holding this place. In order to have a Cloud be blue, they will need the blue color, I believe. Here I've added for the Avalanche faction, I've added the Freedom Fighters that look like Jessie. This girl. She looks accurate with the red color. The pants will change if they have a different color. So if Avalanche is red, like I'm red, she looks accurate, but Cloud might look wrong. He might have red pants. If I instead add a blue color, then Jessie would look wrong. And some others. But anyway, I believe the Freedom Fighters were used by too many. I had failed to separate them between the factions. Some units are used by many. That was the problem. We have Rufus too, added as the leader of the Shinra. He wasn't on the previous maps. Essentially I've added different colors, and I've added Aerith and Rufus to the game, and added the new Chocobo soldiers for the factions, and added the new Freedom Fighters. The problem is I didn't manage to separate them between the factions. And that's probably the only change. Avalanche is still holding the Sleeping Man. Shinra is holding Mithril Mines. Avalanche is holding all of these still. Shinra is holding all of these. We haven't changed any of the ownerships, it seems. Nothing new there. Okay, so the new team was the heroes and some units. Okay, that's still some stuff they added. Still a very updated build. Okay, save content. Then we have you check the oldest one first. One with a different map. Let's just check that. But it can be loaded with the vanilla factions I see, and it won't probably have a visible map, then we'll not check it. But we'll check the mod VIP without the garrisons. It's next. Still have only 4 factions. Let's start it. Okay, so Temple of the Ancients. We have the same colors for the Cetra and Avalanche. Nothing different there. Shinra is still blue on the map. Avalanche has this vine-red color still, but they're given mithril mines to the Cetra to give them an area in this continent. Oh, by the way, we have changed one thing. So the capital city of the Cetra, Temple of the Ancients, they have the latest version, latest upgrade of the Cetra sprites for cities. This is the latest version. You can see the other cities here have different ones. Now we have the middle town has proper sprite, or city. I believe it's a different. I made the city sprites faction specific, so that the Cetra have this style, and the Shinra faction has this style, and Avalanche has a similar style to Shinra with slight differences, I believe, and Uta have a completely different style. And I also make sure that the level, because there are different levels like village, town, large town, and city, I believe, something like that. Maybe even a fortress before the city. I think maybe village, town, large town, fortress, and huge city, something like that. And they are different between the factions, and this is the best one for the Cetra. And this one is maybe the second one, town or something, large town or town. It's better than a village, but it's probably a large town or town. I don't know if they have both of them. I don't know that there is a village, and then there is probably a large town, and then there is a city, and maybe a fortress, and then maybe a huge city. But anyway, I don't remember if they were 4 or 5. But this one is number 2, I think, and so it's a town, and there's a unique sprite now. The Fort Condor has more of a fortress. You can see they have a castle building there, and the mines are still using the village level for the Cetra. It fit. So I gave this area to the Cetra so it would have a unique sprite, and because I want the Cetra represented on each continent. So Avalanche is holding Fort Condor, the Cetra is holding mines, Avalanche is still holding the Chukudo Ranch, and Shinra is holding Midgar, capital. Their faction is holding the village of town and harbor. You can see that Calm is not as high a settlement level as harbor. Then we have Uta holding Sleeping Man, because we could get Yap in this forest. I think we could have that area instead of Avalanche. Just have everyone represented in each continent. There are no starting armies here. We added heroes. Cloud is in the game, but he will have red pants, unfortunately. That's on the bad. We gave Avalanche the blue colors, then Shinra would look wrong too. We need a blue color for the Shinra. And if we use that other color for Avalanche, the one with the like marker color that we used earlier, then I believe the cloud would look better, but not perfect. But then Jesse would look wrong. The soldier that looks like Jesse. Okay. Gave the Utai faction an area here, and we have the capital of Midgar here, looking accurate. Then we have this continent. Then we have a canyon held by Avalanche, and Gaga village held by Shinra still. Then the Avalanche faction also holds Weapon Seller area instead of I believe they held previously two. So they hold 2 areas, and Midgar hold 1. And then we gave Ancient Forest and the Dog Forest to the Cetra, because these areas were full of monsters that we needed to defeat in the official game, and we also wanted the areas to look more accurate to the Cetra sprites, and the Cetra didn't have any areas here, so it makes sense. So we have like Avalanche with 2 areas, Cetra with 2, and Midgar with 1. Then over here we have Shinra, we have Costa del Sol, look more accurate now. They have North Corral, also with a suitable sprite, and we have Corral Prison instead of Gold Saucer, because it made sense. Gold Saucer was that happy place in the air that you needed to reach by an airship, and Corral Prison was in the desert. Under Gold Saucer you had to go through a tunnel or shit. I believe that they sent their prisoners down a tunnel. So essentially I changed the name from Gold Saucer to Corral Prison and gave it to the Avalanche faction because it's controlled by Dine and his goons, and they are enemies of the Shinra. They are not friends of Avalanche, but they are like, they could have been friends with Avalanche. They have the same enemy, but they are more like criminals. But the heroes are here too. So I figured the Corral Prison area fit better with Avalanche than with Shinra. And to balance things out, while Research Cave held by Cetra, their sprites, and Nibelheim is held by Shinra, as is Rocket Town. They gave Might Nibel, or Mountain Nibel, to the Wutai faction. They have an area here too. So Wutai is represented on both continents here. It's more interesting this way. And then on this continent, Wutai's homeland, we have Wutai itself and the Daoshao monument with suitable sprites that are different from other factions. And then on the final continent, we have the Shinra holding Bone Village and Isaac Lin still, and of course the Cetra holding the Forgotten Capital, the old capital, and then the Chocobo Sage area is held by Avalanche. And the Barbarians with Sephiroth are still in the Northern Crater. I didn't place Wutai here. So Bone Village should be held by the Shinra. Northern Capital makes sense that they are Cetra. Chocobo Sage made sense that they are Avalanche. Isaac Inn given to Shinra as well. So the Wutai faction is not represented on this continent, and this one is accurate to my latest build. It's just that the garrison one has troops placed out everywhere for each faction, and I believe that they added a micro cannon from Midgar too, so it can actually fire towards Sleeping Man. But the marker cannon is not placed out here. Could have placed it here or here. But it made more sense to place it as a part of Midgar than as a part of this city of Yunnan. Fit better with the Midgar sprite. Of course, the weapons are represented by dragons. The ultimate weapon is that dragon. Emerald weapon is this one. The weapons are represented by dragons in different colors. The rubber weapon over here. Okay, so this one is the version with everything placed out. The cities, the factions, the colors, the heroes and new units, but without garrisons. If you were to upload the map only, you would essentially get the cities and I believe I don't know if the sprites would be included. But anyway, I think this is not the version with garrisons, but it has some new units, and as such, I don't know if it would work, or if it would need to be an entire mod upload to include the units. Anyway, I thought this was pretty good, and it's not intended for watching the AI, because it's intended to be played at. Yeah, because we have not placed out any starting garrisons here. This one is otherwise ready. Top city is the forgotten capital, is the top city. And then we have, of course, Wutai, Midgar, Cosmo Canyon, and Fort Condor. They are accurate. They were the most important cities. Final Fantasy VII. You know, the garrisons. And you can check it too. Here we should have still only have 4 factions. I'm surprised. But they had a 5th faction. Maybe I didn't add that to the Final Fantasy VII. Okay, so we have the same factions. Here I've added summons for sure at the start and other stuff. Let's see, we have Comet as a part of the Cetra faction. They are still red. They have different troops now, I believe. Some of them are the same. I don't believe they can recruit any of the vanilla troops anymore, but they might have some of them at the start. Archer, that's also a vanilla one. Iris, of course, looks like that on the picture. Pair to Cetra Arch, and this one looks like Eric, by the way, the picture. So we have a Cetra Arch added as well. Fort Condor now has the Phoenix on top of it. The wrong picture. We only have one of those. We have an entire army, including the Freedom Fighter, looking like Jesse. You're still wine red, might be bad for Cloud. He will have red pants probably. We have the land buggy. The avalanche tank. And that's all the troops there. Looks better with the Phoenix there. And the Mithril Mines, where we placed a separate clone. They are really strong in order to defend, because Cetra hardly had any troops. And Sephiroth here followed through all of these areas. He killed the giant snake in this area. Kill the giant snake right here. Okay, and have a Cetra Archon there too. Avalanche is holding the Chocobo Ranch. Have Knight Chocobo Man and Cavalry. A new unit for sure. Two new ones and one old. Chocobo Man is old. You see that the card is not as high quality. So you have the Cetra holding Mithril Mines and Avalanche holding Fort Condor and the Chocobo Ranch. Proper freedom fighters now and the Phoenix Summon. Then we have Union Harbor with two submarines outside like they had in lore. And the Gelnica Plain available there as well. They have an army of course. They have the Sweepers, basic droids, shooting missiles and machine gun fire. They have the Death Machine, slightly better one of those. It's two different versions of them. They have the Soldier, similar to Cloud but a generic one. And they have the Shinra Marine. He looks more accurate on the map than he does on the picture. He looks really accurate actually. And then we have the Turks unit, a new one that they added. He has the wrong picture. So they have accurate armies there. They also have Emerald weapon there. But he is one of the, I believe, rebel units. So Shinra has a base here. Gelnica Plain, the submarines, and a smaller army. Ready to attack Fort Condor or Sleeping Man held by Avalanche here. I changed that. I removed Wutai from this area in this version. So the other one that was slightly older was the version where I had added Wutai here, and then I changed that. So Avalanche is holding Sleeping Man, it's more accurate to lore. That's why I did it. So Wutai is not represented anymore here, but the Cetra are still holding Mithril Mines because I wanted it to use this sprite and I thought it fit pretty well. I instead placed the Shinra outside. You see the Turk here on the map. They have a unique sprite. So Turks here. Smaller Turk force there, you know. Zeng, Reno and Lina were in this area. That's where Sephiroth's clone and Cloud and his team arrived. So the Shinra are still represented. And we have Chocobo Ranch held by Avalanche. So Avalanche are holding all the areas pretty much except Mithril Mines and Union Harbor. And then the Shinra are holding Calm. You can see there they have a Shinra Soldier. They look pretty good. The picture is wrong. They look good on the map. And then we have Midgar itself, and we can see that I've added the actual macro cannon to Midgar. So they can fire at the Sleeping Man, I believe. Or at least can fire towards it. They have a lot of troops. Cross Panzer. It's one of their unique panzers. Similar to the ones the Avalanche is using, but different. Slight differences. The Mako Cannon. Very, very powerful super weapon. Only available in this region. It was moved from Union Harbor. Sweeper. They have the Sweepers. Have the Death Machine. Soldier. Kelnica. They have the Air Bronco, smaller plane. We have Rufus Shinra as their leader. And have the Shinra Marine. And they have the Turks. The wrong picture for both of them. And that's it. It looks much better with the Mako cannon here. I think maybe the Mako cannon, no, the other version maybe it could be constructed or something. Here in this version with the starting armies, we added it from the start. It fit better on Midgard than on Yunnan Harbor due to how the sprites look. It was in both places in the game. First it was in Yunnan Harbor and then it was moved to Midgard in the late game on CD3 when it shot its blast all the way to the northern crater over here. Of course it can't fire that far a distance in this game, but it can fire towards Sleeping Man instead. Okay, so we removed the Wutai faction, otherwise it's the same essentially. And the Shinra are still holding Midel, Shinra Marines. The Sith are holding Temple of the Ancients. Here, Shinra are still holding Gongaga Village. The Avalanche is still holding Cosmic Canyon. And the Weapon Cellar. They have Freedom Fighters there. And in Gongaga Village, Shinra have Turks and Shinra Marines. Gongaga and the Sith, they have very basic stuff. Including the Sith Archon. See, she looks like Aerith pretty much. Shinra holding Gold Saucer. I changed this back to Gold Saucer here. I saw it was Corel Prison previously. So the Shinra have Costa del Sol, Shinra Marines and Turks. They have Nord Corel with Shinra Marines. And they have Gold Saucer with Shinra Marines. It's because it's their prison and it still needed to win the race to get out of there. I probably changed my mind and gave it back to the Shinra and changed the name back to Gold Saucer instead of Corel Prison. The Shinra have both of them now. All both of them. Made sense. They have these two areas and they have this one as a third. And the Chrysa's Cave is held by the Cetra. They have a Sephiroth clone here now. And they also have the Cetra Archon. The Sephiroth clone is an army in itself. And then they hold the Shinra hold Rocket Town still, where they have Shinra Marines and Turks. And you can see that the Cetra are holding Might Nibel as well, instead of Wutai. So I removed Wutai from this place because I thought they didn't fit outside of the Wutai area. Instead, I put the Sephiroth clone here and the Cetra, because you fought a boss here that Sephiroth left behind. So essentially hunted Sephiroth through all these areas. So made sense to put him there instead. So Cetra have areas here that are quite strong, but they are weak in this area. Okay, and that means that the Wutai faction lost this area to the Cetra. The Cetra were made stronger, and Avalanche lost this area to Shinra. and Nibelheim is held by the Avalanche faction. Rocketown is held by the Shinra. Nibelheim could have been held by them too, but it would have been too strong. So yeah, I gave Nibelheim to the Avalanche faction, where they have freedom fighters. As we saw, this continent is pretty empty. We have Utai, some troops, including the ninjas, using an older Jaffe model. And Jaffe Kisaragi using a more modern one. And the Dachau statue or monument. And in the final continent we have the Shinra holding Bone Village, the Shinra Marines, and holding Icicle Lodge with Shinra Marines and Turks. Cetra are holding Forgotten Capital, now with the Cetra Archon and Sephiroth there as well. So we fought the Genoa here, Sephiroth left behind. And Avalanche is holding the Chocobo Sage area still. Here they have got a magic Chocobo man. Hello, so something is wrong with my cable, so the microphone stops working from time to time. I'm worried that what I said just now wasn't recorded. So I have I need to actually check my video and take a pause right here, because I hate when I do videos like this and then the recorder stops working and then I speak anyway and find out later that my voice wasn't recorded. This my cable is broken. Any slight movement and the microphone might stop working, or I get annoying like sounds and noises in my ear. I need a new cable for the microphone. But Avalanche starts here. They have Chocobos and other stuff. And Chocobo Sage. And Shinra faction still holds the Bone Village with the Shinra Marines and Isaac Village with Shinra Marines and Turks, while Cetra are holding Forgotten Capital. They have a separate clone there as well, because he left behind an Genoa for their team to fight. They have Sephiroth at the Northern Crater too. In case it wasn't recorded, I mean it was recorded, but in case my voice wasn't recorded, Utai starts with ninjas at the Dachau monument, using an older version of Jaffe. And at the capital they have the same ninja and other troops, including the Jaffe Kisaragi hero, the different better version of Jaffe, more modern. And as we saw, we have the Cetra here at the ancient forest, and some basic troops. The Cetra are holding ancient forest and the frog forest, while the Shinra are holding Gongaga. They have Shinra Marines and Turks. And the weapon seller area is held by Avalanche, where they have freedom fighters, and Gongaga Cosmic Canyon, is held by freedom fighters and Avalanche faction. Shinra is still holding Costa del Sol and North Corel, as well as the Rocket Town area. They have Turks and Marines at Costa del Sol, Marines at North Corel, and Shinra Marines and Turks at Rocket Town. Then they hold Gold Saucer. It's no longer Corel Prison, because I figured that they controlled North Corel and then they sent prisoners to Corel Prison, and in order to leave this area you needed to win the Chocobo race in Gold Saucer. And yeah, I believe that the Shinra were in charge. I gave it back to the Shinra, and instead I believe that Avalanche is still holding Nibelheim. Instead they have Freedom Fighters, and we gave Might Nibel, or Mountain Nibel, to the Cetra. We placed a separate clone. We also placed a separate clone and a Cetra Archon at the Princess Cave. Same in Might Nibel, because I didn't think that Vutai fit anymore. So I placed Cetra here as well, so they have a strong presence on all continents, while the Vutai only have a presence here. Okay, so Vutai won't be fighting in any other continents unless they move there. I don't believe they have any boats to move there. I don't know. They can, maybe they can build them. So the Cetra have a few areas. Two here, and they have two down here, but they are weaker here. And Midgar, Shinra faction is still pretty strong. Everyone is starting garrisons, and yeah, what I was not done with was I believe that the Freedom Fighters are available to every faction. The same is true for the Shinra soldiers, and I wanted them to be faction specific, and that's what I hadn't finished, so I didn't know how to do it. I asked on Civ Fanatics forum, and I got an answer, and I read all of the answer, but a long text with lots of pictures, but I still didn't really manage to make the units faction specific. I removed the vanilla units as recruitable, but they might still have some starting troops. Had made sure that all the cities looked correct and that they had correct garrisons. But yeah, I didn't want Shinra to recruit Freedom Fighters, and I didn't want the Avalanche faction or the Cetra faction to recruit the Shinra soldiers like the Cetra has Shinra soldier here. But as of right now, they might be able to do that, but they will have different colors that fit their faction. The problem with Avalanche now is that Cloud will have red pants because of their color. If I give them the blue color, Cloud would look correct, but then the Shinra soldiers would look wrong instead. So I thought it was more important to give the Shinra the blue color. If I gave Avalanche that marker color instead, like greenish or bluish, light bluish, then Cloud would look better, but others would look worse. So yeah, Cloud might have red pants because he is not in the Shinra faction anymore. He's an ex-soldier of the Shinra after all. His colors fit with the Shinra, and therefore they will be wrong when he is in a different faction with a different color. Alright, this is the Final Fantasy VII mod. In Final Fantasy IX and VIII I had a fifth faction. There were 4 playable factions. Then I had a 5th faction used to be able to watch the others that I haven't added here. But I believe that both Final Fantasy 9 and 7, no, Final Fantasy 9 and 8 used the Final Fantasy mod as a base, and therefore we had access to 32 factions. It was easy to add a 5th one, but this mod only has 4 factions. It would be difficult to do the same here. What we could do is we could load this map to the Final Fantasy mod, so we could add any of the factions, but the problem then is that we wouldn't have the cities looking like this. because this is unique to this version of the mod. So this mod, if we use the Final Fantasy mod as a base, cities would look different for sure. Even if the map is the same, the cities will not be the same, and it's part of the coolness that the cities look accurate, in my opinion. That's why I thought this one was the best out of the three, but wasn't finished. We really needed to. I didn't get rid of the vanilla soldiers in the other mod, because that would ruin that mod, as it's a what if where they use vanilla soldiers as core troops. The Final Fantasy VII mod, on the other hand, was intended as a project that wasn't finished, and unlike the Final Fantasy mod that was in beta state, I believe this one was very unfinished, and so the recruitment, I didn't really care about keeping the vanilla soldiers that were in the recruitment previously. And the problem was that then everyone started to recruit freedom fighters and soldiers, and I would want them to be unique for certain factions, and that's where I left off. I never really managed to make them unique. Otherwise this one is ready, but the Final Fantasy VII mod have only 4 factions plus the barbarians that you can't play as. Their Sephiroth is a part of this one. Yeah, we do not have a 5th faction that we could use to watch the others. I would like a Sephiroth faction, but there is no Sephiroth leader. There are cards for Sephiroth, but not enough for a leader. There are no moving pictures. Okay, so this is the Final Fantasy VII mod, the latest VIP with the garrisons placed out. Quite different from the one where we haven't placed out the garrisons, where we have placed Utai in different areas. I also believe that we had Utai earlier in this version. I tried playing it, but it didn't work very well anyway. They were defeated very fast, so I felt this was better, with Sephiroth leaving a trail. Like the Sephiroth is like a one-man army anyway. Okay, I believe I used Utai to play, because they are isolated. That way we could play, watch everyone else essentially. But it would be good if we had a 5th faction, so Utai would also be controlled by the AI. They have no enemies. There are a lot of enemies here, like barbarian enemies. Anyway, thanks for watching. This was the Final Fantasy mod, the one I was supposed to show. And then it's just the Final Fantasy VIII mod. A part of the Final Fantasy mod, but with the map that I downloaded separately. This one has, of course, the Forgotten Capital is the most important city, Utai, Midgar, Cosmo Canyon, and Fort Condor. Alright, and then we have the Final Fantasy VIII mod. There are 2 maps, one smaller, one bigger. I did work on the big one first. So the big one. And the small one. You have a small one without garrisons, Final Fantasy VIII. Small map VIP. This is a VIP too. Let's check the VIP first of the small map. Been a while since I checked this. This is the one where you can play as any faction in the game. I will exit. Check no garrisons instead. Oh, it's the same. You can play as anyone. Check the one with small map VIP, no garrisons. I think this is the latest one with the garrisons. Let's check it. So we have 4 factions, 3 AI factions. Galbadia, the evil faction led by sorceress Idea, controlled by Ultimisia, different sorceress. A garden faction where Squall is part of and the leader of this game. The faction in this game is Squall. Then we have Estar, Laguna's faction. So we have Galbadia, garden, and Estar. And then I added Shinra's faction for the player to just be able to watch that I added an empty ISO. This is the one without garrisons. And this map, the Final Fantasy VIII map, was actually made by the same guy that made the Final Fantasy IX map. But I had to place out all the cities myself. So the starting areas here, we have Galbadia's homeland. So we have Delling City. But they had an army here too. Quite a few troops. And this is the one with the garrisons, I think. Small map version with garrisons. It's ready to be played. To watch the AI. We have Delling City. And Missile Base. Galbadia Garden. Desert Prison. And the Village of Timber. All held by Galbadia, of course. So Rufus Shinra is our little guy here. He's not supposed to be in the game, but he is the guy we control as the NPC faction. I believe our faction starts from this little ice over here. Shinra. But the player faction of this little ice, just so we didn't need to play one of the others, but Rufus for some reason spawned down here. Okay, so Timber. Then we have Garden, CD faction. They have Forest Owls and CDs. We hold the Pin Hill here, and Dollet, the village or town that we invaded in Final Fantasy VIII. They are held by Galbadian soldiers. We have Balam Garden over here. Huge army. This was actually more recent than the work on the Final Fantasy VII mod. I did the FF7 stuff first. Then I did the work on the giant Final Fantasy VIII map, and then I did the work on the smaller Final Fantasy VIII map, so this is more recent. And then I did the Final Fantasy IX stuff. That's why Final Fantasy IX was uploaded, because I had done it before I uploaded video and recorded. I had also tried both Final Fantasy VII in an earlier version and I believe Final Fantasy VIII on both maps, but I didn't record, so you need to redo those videos. FF7 wasn't finished. The FF8 is finished. I believe I improved this one after I had watched AI without recording, so this is even better than when I actually watched. There are a lot of troops everywhere, a lot of custom troops. Many are shared with Final Fantasy VII, but some of them are not shared. They have different ships, different airships, different soldiers, but some machines are similar or same. They borrow a few machines, I believe, and heroes. So Garden Hall, Balam Garden, of course, and this area, whatever it was named. Terrain info. It's Balam, and this is Balam Garden. Then they all of course stole it here, they invaded. And they hold Vin Hill down here. Have some ships down here. Garden. Garden is holding Idea's house as well. And Centra ruins. No, I might be wrong. No, Garden is holding Idea's house, sure. Who is holding this? I don't know. It's empty. I don't know who is holding it. Color is different from that color, I think. They are empty areas. Centra excavation site and Centra ruins. Looks like it's Garden too, but without any troops. Then over here we have the Shumi village held by the Garden troops. And they are holding Trabia Garden as well. And down here we have Estar holding Estar Center, Estar South and Estar North, and Sorcerer's Memorial area, and they are holding Lunar Gate and Tears Point. And Galbadia is holding the Lunatic Pandora lab, which is isolated there. We even have Idea Kramer here added. It's a new wrong picture. This one is ready to be played. This is the smaller map based on Final Fantasy VIII. I downloaded the map by the same guy that made the Final Fantasy IX map. Then I added all the cities following an official map of Final Fantasy VIII and gave them their names, placed out all the factions. The 3 factions are Galbadia, Garden and Estar. Then I added a Shinra, just the players' factions so I could watch the others. And I gave them alliances and such. I believe that Estar, we will check, by the way, you can check it. Advisors, so I believe that we are allied to the Garden faction and the Estar faction. Estar and Garden are allied. Both are at war with Galbadia. So, and we are not really a faction. So essentially, Squall of Garden and Laguna of Estar are allies. And they are fighting Idea of Galbadia, who is the enemy. And Rufus Shinra is just used so we can watch. In the same way the wars were in Final Fantasy IX. This map is by the same guy, and I did the same stuff here, but I believe I were even more detailed here, I believe, or at least the same. And this is a pretty cool map. We will certainly let them fight again and check it out later. Now we just wanted to take a look at it. By the way, we can check some units if they are custom. So Galbadia, hunting falcons. tanks. Some of the tanks are historical tanks used as placeholders, because this mod, the Final Fantasy mod, used both vanilla models from history and Warhammer models and Final Fantasy models. Not all of them are Final Fantasy. They have bombards, probably a lot of basic ones too. Artillery. Mobile artillery. I wanted them to use everything that they had access to in the mod. That's why there are a lot of different units. Cruise missile. Steam tank. Very different looking tank. Cross panzer. Shared with the Final Fantasy VII mod. I believe the Shinra used that one too. Dea Kramer level 20. With the wrong picture. She has her own like accurate model that they added. I downloaded it from the creator of the model, the sprite and of this mod, the Final Fantasy mod. I downloaded it from her site, just like with the others, and added this version to this map and to the mod. Galbadian soldier. So these are the Final Fantasy VIII soldiers. They look like this. They are accurate to Final Fantasy VIII. The Galbadian soldiers. They're pretty cool. Paratroopers. They look more like World War II. Banga Templar. Kind of lizardman creature. Bengal Tracker. Another lizardman. Bengal Gladiator, another one. They have some monsters too in the ranks. Bengal Marksman. Battle Bike. A unique one. This mod. Probably a Warhammer one. Skinned or so. Or retextured. Let's see. Ironclad. This giant one is certainly based on the boss at Dollet. This is a unique Final Fantasy VIII enemy. Cargo airship. I have an airship here too. Elnica Transport. They borrowed this one from Final Fantasy VII. Yeah, Kramer level 99. Still with the wrong portrait. They both the level 20 and level 99 Idea. Then they have ships too. Ironclad. Historical ship. Military transport. Historical. Destroyer. Historical. Aegis Cruiser. Historical. Steam transport. Historical. Cruiser. Historical. So the ships are not really custom. At least I don't think so. That's Galbadia's army. Check the tower if they had anything unique there. Doesn't look like it. They have a forest owl here because I wanted them to have like the corrupted Rinoa. As the forest owl is using Rinoa's model. Right, so Rinoa. That's Galbadia. So what about the others? Have a star. Let's check them first. Have a tank. Normal tank. Have a tank. Look different. bombard, similar to the one Galbadia had. Artillery, similar to theirs. Mobile artillery, also similar. Cruise missile, similar. Steam tank, similar. Trooper, similar. Then they have these unique droids, the Gesper, they're unique to the Estar faction. Because Estar is like a high-tech civilization. They have the Ragnarok ship, very unique, Final Fantasy VIII. And this faction have the cargo airship here as well. And we have the Genica transport borrowed from Final Fantasy VII. We have the Star Soldier, unique to this faction. And in the other areas, we have Laguna level 20. The wrong picture too. There's the North. I believe he's using the Final Fantasy VII Shinra soldier model like he did in the flashback, because there were no unique model for Laguna, so I figured he could use the Shinra soldier one, as he basically looked like a Shinra soldier in the flashbacks in Final Fantasy VIII. He had a similar uniform to the Final Fantasy VII soldiers. Okay. Have some really cool like green ships there. Ragnarok. I think it's Ragnarok, but in a different color, from red. Then they have ships too, same as the others, but they are borrowing the Magus submarine from Final. Now they have a unique one. This submarine is unique to Final Fantasy VIII, the Magus submarine, if they look like this. But it might be the same as in Final Fantasy VII otherwise. Might be unique as well. Then we have Galbadia, of course. So in Inhale we have CD soldiers. They look like this. Unique for this faction. Garden. And the Forest Owls using the Rinoa model. Unique to this faction too, even though Galbadia had corrupted Rinoa in Valmaria. So they have more CDs and Forest Owls in Dollet. They have ships, the unique white CD ship. They have quite a few of them. They have a fleet with a unique ship. They have Trabia Garden, more of the CDs and the Forest Owls, and they have paratroopers and mercenaries and Garden Palam, I mean. They have CDs and Forest Owls. And nothing at Centra Ruins and Centra Excavation Site. Near Dea's house they have CDs and Forest Owls. Then it's just their capital, Balamb. They have their largest force. They have a tank. They have a tank. Bombard artillery, mobile artillery, cruise missile, steam tank. Same as the others, essentially. Share a bunch of units. Well, Leonard, and I believe he has the Shinra Soldier model. Level 10 to their CD Paratrooper T-Rexaur. Yeah, they have the T-Rexaurs. It's a unique unit here. They unleash from Balam Garden. They're available at Balam Garden as enemies. You have the Ragnarok ship. The cargo airship Gelnikas Transport Forest Owl. Markner's Galleon at level 99. That's pretty much it. It's 3 factions instead of 4 on the Final Fantasy VIII map. It's a pretty interesting setup there. Alright, this is the Final Fantasy VIII map, the smaller one. A pretty good one. Alright, let's exit. Okay, click wrong. Excuse me. And now it's just the giant map. We'll check. Final Fantasy VIII big map complete. But we have every single faction here. Calvadia, Garden and Star are the 3 AI factions. Head. We start on this ISO. Slightly different here. Check the same map first. This map is way bigger. See that Calvadia is holding Delling City. They have similar units. They're holding the missile base. Similar units. Slightly smaller forces. They are fewer. They had more troops on the other map. They added more troops to the other one at the start. This one has fewer troops at the start. They hold it as prison, and Vinhill is held by Calvadia here, not Garden. They hold all the areas here. And they also hold Timber over here. And they hold Dollet. They gave all the areas on this continent to Calvadia. Didn't give any of the areas to Garden. Okay. And then down here we have White City Ship as an actual region, because they had that region, I believe, marked. Garden is also holding Dea's house here. They have ships outside each area. White City Ship is another area they didn't have on the other map. They hold the central ruins and the excavation site, but unlike on the other map, they have starting armies and ships in these areas too. The Garden is stronger. In that sense, they have all of these areas already populated, and of course they hold Balam Garden. They have way fewer troops. Everyone has fewer troops. I did this one first, then I did a smaller one, because I wanted to fill out all the maps that I had downloaded, and did that after, and then I tried to play on it, then I improved it, and it ended up with a lot of cool stuff like more troops and even summons, I believe. Well, this one is stuck in an older state where they didn't have nearly as many troops placed out, but it has the bigger, cooler map. Just not as many cool units placed out. Balamb and Balamb Garden, very few troops. Instead they are holding more areas than here. Garden faction. This area is pretty empty. Go up here. Garden is holding this area too. They have no troops there. They have a ship there. And Tribia Garden. Held by Garden, of course. And then here we have a star. A lot of extra areas, but not a lot of extra cities. Still have the same areas here. Or a star. They essentially remade the same stuff again on a different map after I'd done this. And then it ended up being more improved. So you might actually try this one first, because this one is older. It is more impressive in terms of landmass and map size. And we can see here that they have a unique submarine for Final Fantasy VIII. It's not the Final Fantasy VII one. And yeah, this one is cool. And the ships look better here. The reason they showed a different ship is probably because the stats are better for one of the more basic ships they used in the other one. Had added more of the ships and more of the troops to the other map. So this map is more impressive and bigger. But the other one was more finished. They have Laguna here as well. And unlike on the other map, the lunatic Pandora is held by Star. So this entire area is held by Star. The area in between is held by Garden. And all of Galbadia is held by Galbadia. So it's different in that sense. There are no enemies in the neighborhood, so to speak. And the map just looks cooler. If you check the advisors, we check foreign. Problem is, you cannot see the others. That's a bit disappointing. But essentially the alliances should be the same as in the other one, I think. Unless maybe there are no alliances. I don't know. Maybe Garden and a Star are enemies in this version. I don't know. Yeah, there are two versions of the Final Fantasy VIII mod, two different maps, and we can clearly see that they've done way more work on adding starting garrisons and such on the smaller one. I did a lot of stuff on this one, and then I did the same stuff on that one, and then I improved it. So that's why it is more improved than this one. But this one has some interesting differences, and the map is clearly more impressive and bigger and more beautiful. The other one is smaller, less impressive, but has more work done on it in terms of garrisons and summons and stuff. Okay, I was gonna try that one first, but we'll do this one first because this one is, well, less finished. Yeah, we'll do this one first. It was made first. It would make chronological sense. Okay, but thank you for watching. We have showed off all the fancy maps now that we're ready or almost ready. I mean FF9, FF8 and FF7. The other Final Fantasy maps were only maps with no regions at all, or maps with cities but no troops or factions. Okay, but thanks for listening to this and watching this. Bye.